Okay.
Hey, everyone.
0 reactions, 0 comments, 0 views. That's perfect.
That's not what we have. I already have 5 reactions, and we just started live, so this should be a bit more interesting one.
God damn it.
Sorry, Rory. People like
right.
talking to you.
Whatever.
That's one. There's side number 1 right there.
Get that smile off your face. So that's the drinking game. Every time I shot out of whiskey.
People are going to be drunk in the next hour.
Or dead. Alcohol poisoning's a thing. But that's too out of controlled now, too. So there you go.
All right. So I know there's already a bunch of questions popping up, and there are questions on the post I put up this morning. We'll get to those, as many of those as we can at the end. Trying to keep this to a reasonable time period. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and get rolling, Rory, if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I was looking at the comments. Yeah.
You don't get distracted.
All right.
All right. So first and foremost, I've been starting these with a quote or a saying about each instructor that I really like. And you hit me with one last September when you were here in Natick, and it caused a couple of sleepless nights. And it was, what are we as instructors operantly conditioning wrong? Can you, and this is the question I didn't prep you with ahead of time, so can you unpack that a little bit?
Sure. I was raised as a behavioral psychologist, or educated. And I like it because it's probably the most objective approach to psychology. Basically, if you can't see it, there's no point in assuming it exists. Right. But one of the paradigms within that, almost all learning happens through conditioning. It's not what we're told that registers, it's what's either rewarded or punished. And usually rewarded or punished by life. It's one of those most people have, and this really bugs a lot of people. Most people have exactly the life that makes them feel best. If someone is miserable all the time, it's because they get something miserable that outweighs the fact that they feel miserable. We teach, we're trying to tell people stuff or show people stuff or demonstrate stuff or evoke. But in the end, if what we're telling them is one thing, but we're punishing them when they actually do it, and the classic is, a non-contact system that's based on punching people in the face. You're telling them, training them to punch people in the face, and every time they do it, they get yelled at and told they have no under. And so we always have to look at the things that we accidentally punish for, the things that we reward. It's one of our big battles is we're trying to. Most people think that they're trying to make stronger people, and that doesn't work when you encourage people to be weak. I keep saying you can't tell people to stand up while demanding that they bow. It's what they're rewarded for will happen more, and happen more in stress, what they're punished for. And most of the time we're punishing and rewarding accidentally, just by habit, not thoughtfully. Not want to go that route.
Old tradition kicking in before thought.
Tradition is part of it, but there's just our habits. For instance, a lot of people are pretty non-confrontational. And so when you get a problem and you've been telling stand up to your problems and you shy away from the problems, what you're doing is not what you're teaching, and it can't work. If you can't call people, your friends, whoever, on their behavior, tell students to do it, and they see you not doing it, which do you think comes out?
Unfortunately, the wrong one.
Yeah, well, the one that they actually see, the one. So you've got to create an environment where you do challenge stuff, you do ask questions, you do disagree, and it's not a problem. It's alpha males make shitty instructors for a reason.
Yeah.
No, I saw the narrowing eyes right there, but you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Well, I was going to say it's a frequent topic of conversation with Tammy, because she doesn't fit that paradigm. So, and I do everything I can to try not to easily fall into that paradigm.
as languaging, all Tammy fit the paradigm. We don't fit the stereotype.
Okay. It's true. All right. So,
a good father stronger than he is. A good father wants his kids to be stronger than he is. His students to be better than he is.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Always the goal, right? Have them progress further than you.
Yeah, it's just you've got to be sure that what you think you want is actually what you want, which means it's actually what you reward. That's where it tends to fall apart.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm going to push on to I know you got a chance to see these questions ahead of time. I don't know if you actually really read through them or not, but we'll roll on.
No, you put it on Facebook. So.
Yeah. What's that?
You messaged me on Facebook, so no, I did not see them in advance.
I forgot, yeah. Dire circumstances only.
Not something I look at.
So, as a whole, it'd be easy to say that the modern Violence Dynamics Conference is built on a lot of the material that you put together. For you, and this is kind of that idea, I guess, of the student moving forward, progressing past the instructor, if you will, or in line with the instructor, I guess. What's exciting for you watching other people present material that you kind of first put together?
I am selfish and egotistic enough that the most interesting part for me is monitoring my own internal reactions. For the people that have kids, it's like the first time that your kid takes the bus to school, and it's like they get on what's going to happen. And you remember school was kind of hard, but it was kind of fun and all kinds of, and same watching, right? Something whenever you watch someone else teach it, always going to be different. And that's not right. The wording's off on that, and it's like you just need to relax and let it go. So it's fascinating, exciting, and I thought, again, just like everyone has a plan before they have kids, and then everyone has a plan to get punched in the mouth. I always had this, I'm going to be so cool with it when people start, and it's like, it takes a lot of effort to be cool with it. I have to work on it, which is kind of cool.
There's been many jokes about there's frequently just one instructor that has to kind of sort of leave the room when other people are teaching. I wonder who that is.
Yeah. Not usually when we've had it when we go to some other places and someone else wants to present programs. There are a bunch of things that let's see, try to figure out a way to really diplomatically say this. There are a bunch of things that are really easy to do wrong, that a lot of people do wrong, that I have really strong opinions about, and I have a real tough time keeping my mouth shut.
I have been there for exactly that time.
Well, one of my best compliments, and I think this guy named Kevin Jackson is, hey, he taught a knife defense class and it wasn't stupid.
That's pretty high praise, actually.
It is. There's just certain things where the stupidity so far outweighs the facts, and then you have other stuff that you can do. You can do things at a level that leaps and bounds what almost everyone else is doing, 2 orders of magnitudes worse than what I consider acceptable, like scenario training.
Yes.
So that's one. It's you can mess up students mentally, emotionally, tactically, and physically, and it's much easier to do them wrong than it is to do them right. And doing them right takes a shitload of training and then a shitload of experience, because they're just so easy to do wrong.
Agreed.
Yeah. So when someone else is doing scenario training.
Say it again?
So you always kick me out of the room when someone else is doing scenario training.
Duly noted for the future reference. I will make sure that happens. I guess to that ilk. So, what is it about? Two-part question. What is it about this group of instructors that makes Violence Dynamics kind of particularly interesting? And perhaps, I mean, you've done a lot of training over a lot of years. What is it that makes this group of instructors and this presentation format different than what's out there?
Obviously, I've seen everything that's out there to dodge that one. I think the thing, one of the biggest things, and it seems really minor, but it's not. Casey and I have had pretty extensive tactical training, and we had a lot of language in common. But one of the things within that is we're the only group I know that after every day we get together with all the instructors, and before the Scotch and cigars come out, it's what we do, what went well, what can we do better, and it's a continuous process of making it work. Everyone's got extensive teaching backgrounds, and so we've got a fairly solid bullshit meter, and we're also paying attention. We have this. You've spent time. I love doing with Tammy is competitive people watching. Mm-hmm. We'll go out and dissect strangers in public, and see who can back up what they see. We do that with students too. It's did you see the look on their eyes? Did you see when glazed over in this demographic? Is a way that we can work better to reach that. Who are we not reaching? So we're continuously improving our game. And again, it goes back to one of the first things we talked about, creating an environment where it's, dude, you fucked that up. Mm-hmm. That was not the right way. Used here, lost this demographic. And it's not a one thing in the writing world, one of the most useless things you can say is that didn't work for me. If you can't point out mechanically why it didn't work or what you lost or where it disconnected, it's just not useful. Mm-hmm. But we're articulate enough on the subjects that we can pick it, and never trying to alter status so much for the students. And it's that's one of the other things within this group that I value most. 3 ways things can break down when you're teaching. Mm-hmm. If it's about the material, then you go into martial arts where you can't change anything, even if you don't understand it, it doesn't work. If it's about the instruct, fucking ego fest. And honestly, if you're that egotistical, you shouldn't be teaching anyway. But everyone in this group is completely committed. It is about the students and about the experience that students have and how much we can get them to grow in the time that we have. Mm-hmm. And the Casey's constant steel sharpens steel. Yep. And the focus, this is about making the strongest people we can. And we're totally selfish about that. Notice that on the Bio Diet, they totally modified the original mission statements. Weak people are annoying. People hanging out with, we have to make them.
It still says that on Chiron training, I believe.
Probably.
Yeah, somebody softened it for the Violence Dynamics website.
Yeah, there's some softening going on there, but that's okay. It's we have people that actually know marketing now, writing marketing stuff.
Thank goodness. So I'm gonna jump around here a little bit. Well, you kind of sort of you tighten the selecting on the self-selecting, don't you?
Yeah, probably.
So playing into that, the things that are, a lot of the behind the scenes going forward, future Advanced Dynamics, obviously there's if you count Boston, looking as many as 4 conferences this year. There's already 2 more lined up for next year. We're trying to put the website together. What are the things you're excited about for Violence Dynamics specifically? I know there's other stuff, other irons in the fire for you, but just Violet Biodye.
Has the most dynamic set of instructors and pushing it. It's the one that really has the potential to spread the word better than almost anything else. There's That's it. It's this combination of people can talk to way more people in a way better way, and it's Viadai is where we're going to experiment with how, for want of better words, how much other people can teach it and how far it can spread that way. I think that's where it's going long term.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
I think there'll be a bunch of little Viadais popping up in the nest.
That'll be fun. With Natick, well, 2 weeks from yesterday, I guess, starting up officially, day 0, not counting. You've been to Natick 6 years now, so you know it better than any of the other. Yeah, a lot. What are you most looking forward to coming back and doing it, not as just the Rory show, but as Viadai?
It's unfair to say you're barbecue and jerky, probably, right?
I'm okay with the compliments. All right.
Since you got the smoker, you've become a much more important person in my life.
Priorities.
Tammy just laughed at that. I do. I've got my priorities down. It's going to be more fun because I'll have a lot of time to be flying the wall, see how other people react to the material. I know that they have communicated to Allison and Tammy, and how Allison will start working to Tammy's hashtag 500. I think is going to be one of the big, because there's going to be a group of people at core for what Tammy's trying to get started. There's almost all of your people will be familiar with the parts of this that I've done before and their reactions to the different takes on it. So that's the part I'm most interested in. Again, completely selfish right there. I want to watch this.
Yeah, I get that. Well, it's Randy was saying the other day, Tammy's doing ConCom, and while you put ConCom together, Tammy does ConCom very, very well. So
she does. Randy does see. Yeah, and we're going to in Viadai Old World probably make Dan Philippe do it.
That's cool. That'll be very fun.
Yeah. It could be very fun.
Lecture aside, obviously a big part of all of your learning modalities, especially at Viadai, is the idea of learning through play. Why? Why play?
Knowing that you know the answer to this, the question feels really artificial right now.
Sorry, it's not for the question. The question's for everybody else.
I know. So it's really hard to can answer, but basically animals learn. The first time I wrote that, one of the comments I got was that from I think in Australia, he said in all of his years of education, the only thing he really learned about teaching is that humans are the only animals stupid enough to try to turn learning into work. All animals learn better through play. People learn better, kids learn better. I honestly believe, and there's some research to back this up, that if you taught a kid to read and dropped it off in the library, in 6 years, he would probably know more than someone that gone through 12 years of schooling and 4 years of college. Humans are learning machines, and they love it, and they're good at it. The other part of it is that play is the only way that we know to get good at a complex skill. Defense, fighting, communication, they're all complex skills. You did not learn your native language the way you do your second or third language. Right. The rote memorization tends to make people shittier at it, not good at communicating, but someone who's willing to get in there and argue and play does better than someone with grammar. And we know this. And we talked about principles-based training. You can't separate that from playing with it. Just sitting there looking at diagrams and understanding a bunch of words doesn't. But you have to take the principle experiment. And the worst thing we know how to do is memorizing a bunch of techniques and then trying to perfect them instead of going in there and letting them be messy and play with the chaos.
So pure play application or most direct route to application?
No, and this is one of the things when a system is limited, when it's the close is a direct application, you can sit there and go, this problem, exactly the solution, memorize it. But when you can't know what problem you'll get and you can't know what resources you'll have on that day, you distract. Then adapt trumps everything. Mm-hmm. And the ability to adapt is only learned in play. It's wiring to a deep part of the brain, so it gets closer to and faster. Mm-hmm. But if it was a truly closed system, if it was one question, one answer, it would be necessary. It would be like math, but it's not like.
So, getting off topic, and I know this is one of the things I was worried about. You and I can easily get off topic on this very carefully and forget that this is on Facebook Live.
You're reading the comments. You can start complaining. It's cool.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, is that do we have another question here about verbal versus non-verbal skill set? And mm-hmm. I know there's been talk you want to work. I mean, obviously, Viodai has a huge portion of soft skills. A lot of it mm-hmm. is talked about rather than practiced. Is that one of the future opportunities, I guess, to both an extending soft skills package? So the comments, no, Casey, I do not have roosters at my dojo. But taking those soft skills and
I can take you out and show you the comment.
Taking those soft skills there. Yeah, I can hear it right there. Taking those soft skills and breaking those out into play. Is that a future possibility?
To do it, the thing that has always broken that down is things broke down. In scenario training, we can do it, mm-hmm. but scenario training would add a full day for every 20 people. So there's a huge time constraint on it. And the other is outside of that. I don't like role play in most communication classes because most people are sitting. And so when you randomly have two students angry, they tend to do it like really bad high school drama anger, not like angry people. And so it creates more bad habits. And whether I'm is up in the air. People communicate every day. They don't need a lot of practice at the soft skills. They need more mindfulness because they do it every day. So mm-hmm. we make it smoother, make it better. They can experiment with it in their real life. So that's partially rationalization mm-hmm. more than reason, but the real reason is the time limit.
Okay, that makes sense. So where could that live? Separate weekend?
The scenario training. The scenario training is weird, but that involves getting, again, to run scenarios requires a minimum of a 3-man team who have to be really good. Mm-hmm. We have the depth now that we can get it together. Travel time, it's incredibly expensive. It's shitty cheap. But in order to get there, we need a safety officer that I personally vetted. We need a leader that being different types of bad guy completely believably and respond in chaos the way the bad guy would, not the way they would. Mm. And knows how to safe, what the lessons are, and how to let a debrief go. One of the groups that's been doing it sent me a video and asked, what's going wrong? Because we only get through like 5 scenarios a day. And the reason is because they were doing a 2-hour debrief for a 5-minute scenario. Their facilitator wasn't confident. That was fine. Let's move on. Everyone felt compelled to come up with something. And that's so.
It can go off the rails.
Is that a non-answer or an answer?
No, it's an answer. I know that
yes.
Casey's putting a lot of mental legwork into what can be done at Prime as part of an OG track. So I know that within the violence dynamic sphere, that might be where that has an opportunity to flourish.
Yeah, if I had a 9-day camp with the regular Viadai is 4 days of it, and half of the rest an instructor track, and half of the rest being as a scenario track would work out really well.
Mm-hmm. That'd be cool.
But that's a huge time commitment.
I have the last official question, and then I'll get to what people have been writing. So the challenge, Rory, you've been talking a lot to Wolf Dog Marketing about how to do better marketing. 30-second elevator pitch on for the people that are on the fence of signing up for the Viadai here at Natick in 2 weeks, or Old World in 6 weeks.
Okay, so time this out. You get a group of incredibly experienced instructors who are very at helping you, checking your watch, helping individual students find their holes and get over them. The people that are saying, we have a psychologist coming to reported that this training is transformative. And that's the best reason to go. If you want to see in a place that are, this is one of the best places to make huge gains. How'd I do? 22 seconds?
25 seconds, so pretty much bang on.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple questions that were on from this morning. Andy Fisher, and Andy wrote a lot, so I'm going to try and sum it up for time. He asked if you could turn back and redesign either the Chiron training curriculums or the Viadai concepts, anything you do different, or any areas you feel are not addressed or are still evolving.
There's a bunch of still thing that I'm most that would change. There's some stuff that made sense to me, private language, no one else had put a word on it. So I ran with that. And now I'm stuck with the language. So that I think that's the one thing I would look over is the wording.
Now, is that Chiron or Viadai?
So, but other than that, on that level, they're basically based on each other. It's status seeking show is a stupid fucking. But I published it. I'm pretty much stuck with it now.
You can always update your. You can always update your last album, right? You can remaster the album.
Yeah, but it's and Randy's pointed out right that when someone hears social and be social, I probably could.
Well, that does fit as a great joke, though. Andy also wrote for I'm just going to rephrase that as shits and giggles. Stripped to the waist, no knives or guns. Typical black belt from generic martial arts school versus typical inmate in your experience as a correction officer. Who are you placing your money on and why?
I'm placing the money on the one who's not stupid enough to get in that situation. And throwing out the generic doesn't really exist. It's basically, if you've been in a contact system, you're the most criminals. But if you've been in a non-contact system, you tend to be so surprised by what it feels full on trying to take you out that you tend to freeze. So I would give the slight edge to a sports martial artist. Non-sport, I'd give a big edge to the inmate.
Cool. Jonathan Hayes asked, could you discuss report writing for those who have to write paperwork and the after incidents articulation for civilians?
How much time do we have?
You have 3 minutes. Go.
Yeah, it's not going to help. Okay, the report writing, you've got to have your agency format, so you have to have that done. Within there, you have to describe everything you saw, not your conclusions, but that a reasonable person will go to the same conclusions that you did, and what you did and why what you did was the most effective possibility with the least damage potential by your judgment. And again, not have it as a conclusion, but have the evidence so that someone else reading it will draw the conclusion. Within that, one of the bid was as an experiment originally, but it became kind of standard. There was a book that made me read a long time ago called The Art of Dramatic Writing.
Mhm.
So I started using word specific. I quit doing the whole this officer then observed and put it in first person and more immediate. And I found it had a much better reaction with the people reading the reports. It made it seem like a real story to them. Within the, and this is really, really short, but articulating your force, you're going to, for a civilian, it's pretty much the same for officers except for the duty to act. But for a civilian, for the most part, you're going to make the decision very fast on partial information, and it's going to be largely subconscious. And most people are not used to explaining a subconscious decision. So, number one, I'm talking fast. I know I'm not going to make it in 3 minutes, but I'm trying.
Okay.
For the most part, first thing you got to know who to talk to and when and how. As a rule, if you don't have to talk, probably shouldn't without some guidance, and that's what an attorney is for. They give you guidance on how to tell the story correct. Within the story, we pretend that this goes into the decision making, but most of the decision making is unconscious. In order for there to be force, someone has to have intent to hurt you or hurt someone else. They have to have the means or the ability to hurt you or someone else, and they have to have the opportunity or the reach to hurt you or someone else. If all those three things are in one place at one time, you have a bad guy. And preclusion is other than force would work. If you have together, that's your go button. Something has to happen, whether it's hit, run, shoot. That's the yes, no. Within the yes, no, how much force you use, you got to use the minimum force you reasonably believe will get you out of there in one piece. So you have to articulate the differences between you and the bad guy or the things within the circumstance that made that level of force right. Okay, so the guy was bigger and stronger than you. You don't rest and bragging all night about how he's the Navy SEAL with 6 black belts. Well, those go into the story. Again, this is not a decision-making matrix, and that's where people, I don't want to think about that all freeze. Ignorance is far more freezing than knowledge. But getting to the point where you trust your instincts, but then you can articulate them afterwards is what keeps you out of trouble.
Okay.
So that was about 4.5, almost 5 minutes.
Right about there, yeah. It was pretty good, actually, overall.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to read through some of this, some of its questions. Some of it's just kind of people saying howdy. Jonathan Hayes said he met you at I'm going to screw this up, NorWesCon?
NorWesCon.
Yep, and he's hoping you'll come back. Yeah. He said that was his highlight of being there, and he hopes you'll come back.
Cool. See. It's a fun group. If Sonny Jim starts doing programming, he'll probably remember to email me. Anything to anyone that's not NorWesCon.
The what's that?
I was in Australia or somewhere for the last NorWesCon I was invited to, so I couldn't make it. So guy that does the programming that invited me that time does programming again.
Let's see. Martin John Kelly. Can't imagine anybody interested in the subject wouldn't squee at least a little bit upon meeting Rory and Associates. And I'm going to screw up some of these names, so I apologize. Rory loves when people are big fans. That's his favorite thing ever.
Does my eye twitching show up on this?
No, it's too fuzzy. Nobody can tell. It's fine. Don't worry about it. No, it's too fuzzy. Nobody can tell. And I'm going to mess up the name, so I apologize. Bonzi West said, hi, Rory. When are you going to do a video on scenario training?
One of the things with videos is there's some stuff that you can't learn from video, but you think that you can. Jiu-jitsu is a kinetic visual skill scenario training. One of the most dangerous things you do is give people 2 or 4 or 6 hours of video, and then they think they know it. They people up. Mm-hmm. I've been doing some things in the past I've stated categorically are not going to happen. So get smacked later for this. Categorically, I do. It's a video scenario training would be like video childbirthing happen.
All right, moving on. Andy Fisher said to preach. Josh Amos said, good morning, Rory. Lisa Abbott waved hi. Eric Kondo said, hi, boys. I know Eric Kondo will be here for at least 1 or 2 days of the Viodai in 2 weeks.
Cool.
Casey said, morning. Andy Fisher said, you attacked me wrong. I think that's what we're talking about.
Good morning.
Traditional. Casey wrote that elf queens are very alpha. Allison DiRienzo wrote, I 100% disagree.
Did you get the t-shirt for
it? Ixnay.
Okay.
Shh, quiet. Ruining all the jokes.
Yeah.
Allison DiRienzo, I 100% disagree. That was about you being in the room at the same time as other people talking. Casey with his... I'm
not saying it's not fun. It can be fun.
I have just been there when I'm like, dude, I gotta separate myself from you just a little bit.
There's a picture out there of like 4 of us. We were at a seminar. I'm not going to tell you when to go. 4 of us, and of that 4, we're all either cops or military, and we're all doing this. And what the guy's demonstrating, he's demonstrating a knife disarm. Takes it, does the wrist lock, and dragged the knife across his own throat every time he did it. He with the knife that he was taking, and no one else was seeing this. And so we have this whole room full of martial artists. Oh, that's amazing! You've got a picture. Yeah.
Casey gave
the eye rolling was audible.
Yeah, well, like I said, you have a. I call it a chuff. I don't know, a very distinctive like. This is the noise that Roy does not approve of whatever's happening. Let's see here. Casey did a cheap pop for Wolf Dog Marketing, Phase 2 website. Casey, now we got a whole bunch of comments back and forth. Allison would like to point out that she actually bought the smoker. Let's see here.
Okay, you a better man.
Casey suggested bringing back a 9-day Viodie with scenarios involved. Andy Fisher suggested get a bunch of professional actors in, film some verbal scenarios maybe, then do a critique about good and bad practice, make available a streaming video course for those who attend Viodie courses.
Very time intensive. The one thing that I've been curious about would be designing and running a self-defense class with an acting coach who can talk about status displays and different types of body language and how to project different types of status. And that might be really interesting someday. That's far future stuff.
If they don't believe it, their body language won't read it, right?
But acting coaches have a job of getting people to figure that out. So if there's anyone to do it, that would be the right people.
That'd be cool.
If someone's a facial expression dictionary, they have to have it.
Yeah. Let's see. Andy Fisher wrote that he is in for Viodie Old World. Casey is yelling at us.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm. What's that? What do they call FOMO? Fear of missing art, like that. I'm going to be really bummed getting reports from you guys about being over there. Let's see.
Well, you could probably do it. I think you've got the talent school where you're gone.
My staff's pretty awesome, but they might kill me if I go to Europe for a week.
No, tell them you'll send them to Europe the year after.
Casey wrote, don't give away report writing for free. You have to go to Viodie for that. And then he followed that up immediately with now force law. Then he followed up with now the force law class. Come on, kids, I need this job. Let's see. Bonzi. I'm sorry, Bonzi. I'm definitely messing up your first name. Wim Demir mentioned on one of his podcasts a bunch of cool things that happened at Mark McYoung's backyard barbecues, but would not elaborate. Care to share any stories? I have a feeling the smartest move on that one is the Saturday night barbecue here in Natick. It might be safer.
It's a good group. Not specifically about that. It's one of those. As a we're missing in the martial culture is the getting around the bonfire with the old stories. And then as you grow and becoming one of the old dudes, then it's your story. And a couple party every year, friends getting together for that. Mark has his barbecue, and whenever we get to Casey's, it's whiskey and scotch and a fire pit. So it's one of the, we can't usually, because there are just too many people. And Minnesota seems to be really weak on places where people can get together and have a bonfire in public. But Casey is scoping one for, especially if the Viaduct expands to the whole 2 weekends in a week. It's got to happen. But it's, yeah, so no, I'm not going to tell you what goes on at Mark's barbecue. But if you can get invited to any of the barbecues, bonfires, annual parties with old vets groups, shut your mouth. Sip a adult beverage very, very slowly and listen.
And it's because of you. We've instituted a little bit of that here in Natick, and that Saturday night of Viaduct, we're turning it into a charity event for Blue Help, but we're also going to do, I can't call it a bonfire. We're going to have a little fire pit in the parking lot, barbecue. Casey promises to sing bad karaoke. It's going to be awesome.
I know he's going to sing too. Yeah. So I probably won't. I don't think I'll be drinking enough.
I have to keep you guys in order, so I will not be.
Casey somewhere has a video of me singing Parting Glass. So
really,
I do the old Irish ballads. I tend to.
Yeah. Casey wrote that Shane is an actor and he could help because he's been, I guess, classically trained. Tammy McCracken weighed in. Sorry, I didn't mean to post this Viaduct. She posted, hi, boys. She was walking the new digs. I know that Krav Maga is building out a new space, so that'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That is Casey suggested a Rory and Casey duet, something both sad and Irish.
You say that like those are two separate things.
Well, there's either happy Irish drinking songs or sad Irish drinking songs.
You know how to tell love songs from Ireland? Everybody dies in the end.
Perfect. All right. So those are all the comments and questions that we have as of right now. So got off pretty easy.
I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. If there's nothing else right now, then we'll sign off. And you made your first live, not too painful, so I appreciate that.
Oh, I did one with Tammy. I do lives when I'm actually with somebody.
Well,
you made it not too painful. I appreciate that.
I have a feeling whether you like it or not, radio will make you do some of them when you're in Natick here in 2 weeks. So.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, last show everybody my backyard.
Say it again.
Well, listen to the freaking roosters. Right?
Oh, the most gorgeous backyard ever.
Yeah. Well, this is why Randy says I live in Narnia. So.
Yeah, you do live in Narnia.
Yeah, I don't know if the goat showed up in the pasture. That's the other sound you're hearing.
The biggest goat I've ever seen in my entire life.
Thurston's are appreciable. Oh, and I can embarrass my wife if you want.
Oh, I'd love to see Cammie. Hi, Cammie.
What? No, she. I'm going to show you something. I took Cammie shooting for the first time.
You're going to get in trouble. Oh, of course you did. Of course.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can see it, but the 9, she decided to tell what she was doing wrong, blowing out the middle. So I told the middle because we couldn't tell what she was doing wrong. So I showed her shoot at the 9 in the 9 ring. She put a hole through the circle in the 9. for sure.
That
A
doesn't
lady
surprise
I'm not pissing off anytime soon.
me. That's probably for the best. Casey said not bad.
Yeah. The handgun. She's better. Kind of scary.
All right, I will sign it off at this point. Wave it out.
Cool.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
That'd be
everyone.
awesome.
Thank you, guys.